Now, a little belatedly, let me welcome you to the LBC Book Club with me, Ian Dale, and my guest tonight, the film director and restaurant critic, Michael Winner. Now, obviously, I'll be interviewing him, but if you'd like to talk to Michael live on air, if you've got a question for him, the number to call is 0845 6060 973. You can text us on 84850 or email ian@lbc.co.uk. Well, Michael, a very warm welcome to the book club, and love your scarf, by the way.
It's lovely, isn't it? You're giving my fiancée blue. I don't know what it means.
Now, you're here to talk about your rather gorgeous book. It's called Unbelievable: My Life in Restaurants and Other Places. It's Robson Books, hardback, $16.99. What gave you the idea for the book?
Well, it's a pick-up of the Sunday Times reviews that were not in my last book, but there weren't enough of them. So most of the book is stories of my dining with various movie stars over the years.
It is name-dropping gone mad,
isn't it? It's not name-dropping. You know, people say you name-drop. These are the people I live my life amongst. You know, if you're in a suburban semi, Mrs. Smith says, you know what Mrs. Jones is doing? She's doing something very strange with the dog. I happen to live among these people, so I can't talk about people I don't know. I don't know Mrs. Jones and the dog, quite honestly.
And obviously, you're a great lover of food. You like going to fine restaurants. You might like going to unfine restaurants, for all I know. But a lot of your restaurant critiques are of quite famous places.
Well, a lot of them are not.
But do you like to go for a greasy spoon?
Oh, love it. That's the best food the best meal in the world is fried bread, fried eggs, bacon, sausage, baked beans, grilled tomatoes. You won't get a better meal than that anywhere.
Do you know I'll tell you where you should go for that.
Yeah, where?
Ken's Cafe in Green Street, outside West Ham Football Ground.
It's a long way to go.
It is a long way to go, but believe me, it's worth it. And you get some fine football. No, actually, I've just defeated my own argument, haven't I? Now, you talk about the meals that you've had with some famous people. Sophia Loren is in the book, Burt Lancaster, Anthony I love the chapter on Anthony Hopkins. Let's just look at the first paragraph here. You say he's the most incredible person you've ever met. You say, this is what I found interesting. He's the only star I've ever met who's a human being first and a star second. What do you mean by that?
Well, you know, everyone starts life as a human being. And some of them then have stardom put upon them, like a robe or clothing. And it breeds a certain attitude and a certain situation, which Anthony hasn't got. I mean, there's nothing wrong with stars. I like stars. You know, some of them try to kill me. It doesn't matter. Anthony is not starry at all. It's really just a very warm, decent person.
I love the anecdote of you with him at Marks and Spencer's.
That was funny, wasn't it?
Just tell us that.
Well, you know, we were getting clothes for Tony for a film called Chorus Disapproval. He was playing a down-and-out solicitor. So I thought, we'll get all the stuff. Marks and Spencer wasn't so posh then. They didn't have all these models pouncing around. I thought, we'll get the stuff from Marks and Spencer. We went into Marks and Spencer in High Street, Ken, and the manager laid out all this stuff on the counter. Dozens of suits, jackets, ties, doubles you have in case they're ruined. It was a great display. And I said to the assistant, now, what's the discount? She said, we don't give discounts at Marks Spencer. I said, Anthony, would you mind if I play a little game here? He said, not at all. I said, get me the manager. So the manager comes down. I said, now, what's the discount for all this? Mr. Winner, we never, ever give a discount at Marks and Spencer. I said, that is Anthony Hopkins standing there. That's not chopped liver. That is Anthony Hopkins. He's going to wear this stuff in a movie. We don't care. We don't give discounts. I said, fine. I'll tell you what. It will not appear on your report of sale today. You take all these clothes and you put them back on the rail. Come on, Anthony. And we walked a few feet away, which is how you do it. And then the manager, excuse me. So, excuse me. I said, yes. He said, I'm not allowed to give a discount, but I'll give you 3 suits free. Now, of course, what he would have done was, since he's not allowed to give a discount, which I believe, he would have put those 3 suits down as being stolen. And he would still have, this was my opinion, he would still have on his receipts, which you have to phone to head office every day, this considerable extra turnover. I mean, very few go buy 25 or 30, 40 bits of clothing, you know. So I did the same with Jeremy Irons, the place opposite in Barter Shoe Shop, but all I could gather then was some shoe polish and two shoe brushes.
I think you seem to be the person to go shopping with. As you can tell, guess where the shirt came from?
You can get a discount anyway. Just say, what's the discount? Did you get a discount on it, Ian?
No.
Oh, you see?
But I would have done if you had been with me.
You certainly would, dear. I promise you, no question of that.
Now, what I like about this book is that you are quite effusive about some people, but others, you're not quite so fond of. Des O'Connor, for example.
Oh, I know, you've nearly used a naughty word.
No, you better not.
No, I wouldn't dream of it, and you're a very distinguished gentleman, you know. What I really hate is meanness. I hate people who don't pay their way. I had Des O'Connor at 2 New Year's Eves in Barbados. I spent at least £2,500 on him and his guests. He never even wrote a thank you letter. He never sent flowers to my lovely fiancée. He was boring. Above all this, not only we have to give him all this money, as it were, he was boring. And then he said to Simon Cowell, he said, who was at one of the dues, he said, can I take you to lunch tomorrow? So Simon said yes. So he goes to see him for lunch. And, of course, all he wanted to do was flog his then-girlfriend, who's since married, to Simon as a record artist. And who ended up paying for the lunch? Simon.
Well, he can afford it, can't he?
No, then he couldn't afford it then. It was not very well known then. It doesn't matter if you can afford it or not. You pay your way. Des Connor was not broke.
Talking of paying your way, I think it's in the same chapter where you talk about going to Barbados for Christmas, and you ended up booking 3 different hotels and just deciding which one you might take.
Well, Sandy Lane, which I used to go to, was being rebuilt. So I booked a house at the next best hotel, the Royal Pavilion, with 4 bedrooms, 2 sitting rooms. And then I covered myself with 2 suites at the Lone Star, which is a rather fashionable boutique hotel. So I had all these rooms and suites, you see. And then Chris Rea was at Sandy Lane, which I'd read was being rebuilt and was a disaster. He said, no, it's wonderful, he says. There's like 300 staff and about 60 guests. So I said, could I please still come? Because the owner had asked me. He said, you're the first person I'm asking. I said, Tom, I know 3 other people you've asked already. Anyway, and now I'm going to Sandy Lane. I've got all these rooms going. And Simon said to me, I've always wanted to go to Barbados, he said. But I can't get in, he said. I said, Simon, miracle, dear, I can help you. I happened to have, I flogged him the rooms at the Royal Pavilion Hotel, and the other place eventually let them.
You see, this is Michael Winnett. He is an operator. And you're listening to the LBC Book Club with me, Ian Dale, and Michael Winnett. If you have a question for Michael...
Well, of course Ian Dale's with you. I say with me, Ian Dale, I beg your pardon. I thought you meant the book club with me, Ian Dale.
He's going to be trouble, isn't he? 0845 6060 973 is the number to call. We're going to take your calls after the travel. It's 9:16. Really got it out there. It's Alan Joy.
Ian Dale.
And Michael Winner's with me in the studio for the LBC Book Hour. We're talking about his book, Unbelievable, My Life in Restaurants and Other Places. It's published by JR Books, and it's priced $16.99 in hardback. It just about fit in a Christmas stocking, wouldn't it?
It's priced less on the internet.
It is. You are absolutely right. Now, if you'd like to ask Michael a question, 0845 6060 973. We've had a text from Peter. Can you ask Michael, would he do I'm a Celebrity in the Jungle if asked?
I've been offered I'm a Celebrity in the Jungle about 6 times. I turned it down every time, and the final time was a real joke because they said they were very big off. I think it was £300,000 they offered me, and they said, you'll be very comfortable because we have a very big Hollywood star there as well. Well, that turned out to be Huggy Bear, who was a bit player in a TV series, not my idea of a Hollywood star. No, I wouldn't do it because otherwise, you risk looking like Nigel Havers, like when you go in for half an hour and behave like an idiot. And I'd rather keep out of that.
Let's take another text from John. He says, please can we have one of your... Unfortunately, he doesn't say which film he's referring to here, but maybe you can tell us. Please can we have one of your best films on DVD Blu-ray? It's completely vanished off the celluloid radar worldwide. Even Francis Lai's greatest score is no longer available, and I have to keep playing my vinyl copy.
Well, he may be talking about Hannibal Brooks,
right,
which actually was never on DVD either.
Why not? I mean, virtually
well, I have got a copy on DVD. I think it's just come on. I don't know, it wasn't, not everything goes on DVD, and that was a wonderful score by Francis Lai. He's absolutely right. Francis Lai wrote the famous song, The Man and the Woman. He wrote Love Story. And that was a lovely film. More people say to me, why can't I get that? I think we probably can now if you search the internet.
Right, let's take a call from Alan in Camberwell. Hello, Alan.
Hello, hello, Michael. I in the late 80s, I went onto a film set. I think it was maybe one of the last Death Wishes, but I'm not completely sure. It was one that you did some filming in London. And I remember you were shouting at a lot of people. But what was pretty obvious was that you were the boss, and you were the man. I even remember there was a chap kind of following you around with the director's chair. Now,
well, I've got to sit down occasionally. I can't carry the chair myself. I'm too important here to carry chairs. In those days, I didn't carry the cigars. I had someone else carrying the cigars.
Well, you did. In fact, I remember you had a separate thing on the chair which housed your cigars.
I've still got the chair, I've still got the chair.
Yeah, but anyway, you directed a director, Orson Welles, in the 1970s. Now, you're the
1960s, actually.
Yeah, sorry, 1960s. And how, as a director, were you nervous? This is a man that's made possibly one of the greatest films, Citizen Kane.
He made two of the greatest films in the history of cinema, Citizen Kane and Magnificent Ambersons.
Yeah, I mean, were you nervous, or did you take him out, wine him and dine him?
You don't have to wine him. Marlon Brando said of me the most wonderful thing anyone ever said. He said, Michael Winner is the only person who doesn't speak to me in the manner he thinks I wish to be spoken to. People go to these stars and they're frightened. Why should I be frightened of Orson Welles? He was my hero. And the minute we met him, I treated him as a fellow human being, and he was wonderful. We got on well. He was considerate of everybody. Once made a suggestion, but he was just a lovely, lovely man. And he said one of the saddest things I've ever heard. The American Film Institute gave a big tribute to him, and he asked me to come over in Los Angeles. And he went to the microphone, Orson, and they do it brilliantly there. And he said, he said, in this room, there is the head of every studio, every major producer, every powerful person in America, in the film business, and you've all come to pay me tribute. But none of you will employ me. And they never did. Very sad. He was the most wounded human being. I once said to him, Orson, you made Citizen Kane, you made all these major movies. What would you like to do before you die? He said, Michael, I'd like to make one film that shows a prophet.
Alan, thanks ever so much for your call.
It was a good impersonation, wasn't it, Alan?
It was great, yeah, thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Much better than my impersonation of you earlier doing your Calm Down Dear, which I didn't get right at all. They thought it was Michael Caine, apparently.
Calm down, dear. It's only a radio programme.
It is indeed, and I shall use that as my jingle in future. Bernard's in Liverpool. Good evening, Bernard.
Good evening, Ian.
Hi, what's your question to Michael?
By the way, Ian, did you get me a Christmas card?
Not yet.
Oh, I sent it.
We haven't got time to have a Christmas card. Ask me a question. I don't believe what's going on here. We'll discuss Christmas cards.
It's about him, not me.
I think, Michael, you're very, very, very funny, honestly. I'm hysterical laughing. But what I'd like to ask you, what would Charles Bronson like to work with?
Charlie Bronson, I made a film with him called Shadow's Land. And I dined with him every night because I knew his wife from the old days. And people said to me after that movie, well, did you get on with Charles Bronson? I said, well, I don't know, really, because he's very slow to come out of his shell. He had a terrible youth. He's quite a complex person. And about 4 weeks later, I got a call from Hollywood. They said, Charlie Bronson is doing a film called The Mechanic, and he insists that you direct it. So I said, well, I guess we must have got it better than I thought, really. And then we did about 7 pictures. He was a wonderful man, a very good actor, an underrated actor, a very, very good screen actor. And that was it. He was a good friend.
When did your love of film first start?
Oh, when I was 5 years old.
Really?
I used to try and give shadow plays on the wall. I used to tell stories. I loved film, always. I was devoted to being a movie director, nothing else.
And is there a part of you that misses that now?
Well, a number of directors ring me, very famous, more famous than me, if there is such a thing. There is, actually. And they say, we're shaking. We can't get another film. I said, fellas, the spotlight moves. It moves off. And you have to have another life. I have got a movie I hope will be made next year. I do the commercials. I get all the old crew back together and we have a couple of days fun. So, of course, I miss it. But I don't miss it to the point where, like a drug addict, I'm sick because I'm not getting it. Because realistically, very few people at my age are still directing. I'm alive, that's something. I'm with you, Ian.
You are, very much so.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you very much, Ian, yes.
0845 6060 973 if you have a question for Michael. Nikki, you're in Chelsea. Hello, Nikki.
Oh, hello. Hi to the both of you. I think this actually sort of rivered in because we have to turn our radios off. But I just heard
why do you have to turn your radio off?
Yes, we do. Yes, we can't have
feedback.
Oh, an echo. It's called an echo. You're right. I beg your pardon. I'm so ignorant.
Of course not. But it sounded like somebody had already asked you, Michael, about whether you were going to direct another film. And to me, you just go on and on. I went to see something at the Royal Albert Hall with a conductor, and he was just flying through he was going up and down like he was just wonderful. And you couldn't tell how old he was. It didn't matter.
Yeah, but you compose, you just stand there waving a baton about.
Yes, that's all he did.
The average age of the audience.
That's what you do.
No, I don't wave a baton, Joe. I don't.
No. But what you do with your films is something, So it's just a unique talent, and you've got it. And I don't want you to lose it, and I want you to carry on. Maybe even looking for young actors and actors in some sort of way in the future. Maybe you could even do something like that. But I tell you this, eating and drinking can be part of all the movies as long as you find a way to do it. 'Cause what you did for Charles Bronson, me and my daughter love him. And we think although he's dead, he's a role model to young people with his stillness and his ability to... there's something about the way you look at him, and you don't mess with this guy.
No, you're right. Very perceptive. You are. Very perceptive.
That is probably, a lot of martial art training or whatever. If the young people took a little bit out of that in London, there wouldn't be so much troubles as there is.
Very, very good philosophy.
Nikki, thank you for your call. I think you got a fan there.
She's a lovely lady.
When you go out and about in London, you presumably recognise quite a lot. And do you like that side of being a celebrity?
No.
I don't believe that.
No, I'm very happy because people say, calm down, dear, and they come up and speak. I'm not mobbed like Tom Hanks would be, or whoever, or Leonardo DiCaprio. It's a comfortable amount of recognition. And it's lovely. It's wonderful that people care. I'd love to hear from them.
And these adverts that you do, the eShore adverts, which, have to be among the most irritating on television in some ways.
No, you got the wrong word there.
Did I?
Not irritating. The word is successful.
Yes,
The company was unknown, and then I did these ads, and they took on 600 people within 3 months. And so, they sold the product. That's what and they were funny. They were the first ads, I think, to totally take the mickey out of television commercials. Calm down there, it's only a commercial.
I hope you were on some sort of commission rather than just a flat fee.
Not enough.
Well, you're listening to the LBC Book Club with Michael Winner. He's with me in the studio to talk about his book, Unbelievable, My Life in Restaurants and Other Places. And we'll be coming back after the news to talk a little bit more about some of the celebrities that he's dined with. And we'll also talk about what it's like being a restaurant critic, because imagine you owned a restaurant, and imagine Michael Winner turned up and you weren't expecting him. What on earth would you do? 0845 6060 973. Have you ever been reviewed by Michael Winner?
850 Ian Dale.
And I'm here with you until 10 o'clock this evening, but taking you through from 10 until 1 a.m. is Clive Ball. He's here to tell you what's in his programme.
Hi, Ian. Yes, hi. I'll be here at 10, and obviously the ongoing topic is the snow, and I thought for a minute it was all going to die down, but no, just as when you think it's safe, in fact, the snow starts coming again, and there is...
That could be a Michael Winner line, just when you think it's safe.
Yes, the snow returns. And it is returning at the moment, not everywhere, but it is coming up from the south, as we've just heard. So we'll be keeping an eye on that and looking at a number of aspects of how people's plans have been mucked up, and whether it really is an embarrassment or not, and how you are adjusting your plans for the next week or two. On a slightly more positive note, perhaps, we're going to look at the words of one cardinal who has said that austerity could turn out to be good for us. And that's his Christmas message, in fact, that we could all live humbler lives and perhaps be all the happier as a result.
I cannot imagine Michael Winner wanting to live an austere, humble life.
Yes, the simple
But maybe
life.
I'm wrong.
I don't wish to live an austere, humble life. No, I don't.
No, okay, we'll cross that one out. And also, now, this is interesting, sexual stereotyping. There's been some research into whether it is natural for boys to want to play with guns and girls to want to play with dolls. Or whether that is something we sort of foist upon our children and that's why they do it. So we're going to be investigating that and find out whether people follow the stereotype.
So is
it in the genes?
I shouldn't tell you about my Barbie doll.
Well, I wasn't going to ask, but...
And there's worse than that, Ian, you haven't told us about. Yes. That is a mere soup song.
This is true. It has to. Yeah, I have to admit it. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much. That's
all?
Well, there's plenty more, but that'll do for now.
There is. Okay, thank you very much, Clive. Clive will be here from 10 o'clock here on London's Biggest Conversation. But until then, I have the pleasure of talking to Michael Winner. He's here to talk about his book, Unbelievable, My Life in Restaurants and Other Places. Let's talk a bit about restaurants, but just to remind, if you want to ask Michael a question, 0845 6060 973 is the number to call. You can text a question in, of course, on 84850 as well. I asked you earlier about when did your love of film start. What's your first food memory?
Well, during the war, I'm talking World War II, not World War I. During the war, food was quite scarce, and I used to go to a cafe in Letchworth, Hertfordshire, and I used to have sausages, chips, which were cut from potatoes, not delivered in packages of plastic, and gravy. And I rarely said, when I grow up, I'm going to eat nothing but sausages, chips, and gravy. And I wasn't a bad judge, so I wouldn't mind eating them now.
And how did you first get into reviewing restaurants?
Oh, I got into reviewing restaurants quite by accident. I did an article for the Sunday Times to get revenge on Terence Conran, because he'd written me a very rude and silly letter. We're now very good friends, I might add. And it produced such an enormous response from the public that the editor said, I didn't realise that this interest in dining out. We got like 1,500 letters in 1 week, which is a lot for a journalist. And I somehow they got this cockamamie column, and it's lasted, and it's the second most popular column on the paper. I cannot beat Jeremy Clarkson, unfortunately. But, you know, it's good fun.
And when you go into a restaurant, is there a little voice at the back of your head saying, let this be a bad one so I can really trash it? Or do you actually want them all to be really good and fantastic quality?
Well, on the whole, I go to places which I go to as a punter. I'm the only food writer who pays for his own food. I'm not reimbursed. So I don't look for a bad meal. Mm. But it's amazing how many come my way. I don't have to look, they just turn up. And sometimes in very posh places, which you know, are in restaurants and all the glitterati I go there, some food is rubbish.
And presumably they don't know that you're going, you just...
Oh, no, I always book in my own name.
Oh, you do?
You know, when I started, the very, very famous food critic called Faye Master actually knows about food, which is more than I do. And we were going to have dinner. She said, but you mustn't book in your own name. I said, why, Faye? When you enter the restaurant, your photo is in the paper every week. They know it's you. She says, but if you book in advance, they may get the food in specially for you. And I've later had evidence that was true. And one place I went to, a very sort of inn club, was suddenly packed with celebrities coming over to my table. And somebody says, you don't think they're there by accident, do you? Mm. You were there with the owner, and the owner called them in. Said, do me a favour, turn up and say hello to Michael Winner that day.
Oh, and what about these really well-known restaurants like the Ivy, which I've been to a couple of times, and I actually think it's quite ordinary. I don't think the food's there. It's just the place where celebrities seem to hang out to be seen. They don't really care what the food is.
Well, I went there the other Saturday. It was full of Essex girls on Saturday. I love them.
Nothing wrong with Essex girls.
I said I love them. I'm not listening to me.
I'm from Essex.
Oh, congratulations.
But not a girl.
No. Well, that's debatable. Now, because you talk about your Barbie doll there. But, you know, I think the Ivy indeed does very good, simple food. The fish cakes are incredible. I think it's very good because it doesn't try to be clever. You don't get plate decoration. I hate plate decoration.
Yeah, me too.
When I get a plate with a red squiggle once, a yellow squiggle the other, doom and disaster. You know, some idiot in the kitchen has been doing squiggles. It's not important.
But if you turn up at a restaurant just because you want to have a meal, not that you're necessarily going to review it, what do you think the reaction of the staff is when you walk through the door?
Well, what amazes me, people say, oh, they must be on red alert when you come in. Well, then why do I get served burnt food? Why do I get insulted at the desk when I go in and the woman says, have you got a reservation? Oh, what a way to start an evening, have you got a reservation? And then they show me to a lousy table, so I don't want to sit there. I mean, I'm afraid that they're incapable, a restaurant, of changing their normal habits, which are very frequently poor.
We've got a text here. Has Mr. Winner done Come Dine With Me? And if not, would he appear on the programme from Lorraine? Oh, sorry, it's from Lorraine. The text, I thought it was from Alsace-Lorraine or something.
You're not drinking, are you?
No, I don't drink.
No, I don't either.
No.
The answer is I've not appeared on Come Dine With Me. On the whole, I did my own programme where I judged people's food in their homes, and they were lovely people. No, I don't want to be in those programmes.
What do you make of this cult of celebrity chefs?
Celebrity chefs, the biggest bore in the world.
Oh, thank goodness you agree.
Unbelievable. When I was brought up, it was a cook. Well, some cook in the kitchen. You didn't know who he was. All you cared was what was the food like. Now, they're so short of celebrities for the newspapers. We'll have celebrity plumbers, we'll have celebrity road sweepers, and they all talk a load of drivel. They should all be in the kitchen cooking, but they're not. They're out on television, they're spouting their mouths off, talking absolute rubbish. It's just pathetic to look at these people as celebrities.
Well,
and they can't run most of them, the business crashes to the floor anyway.
Well, you're not mentioning any names.
No,
I think we all know who you mean. But do you ever watch these MasterChef programmes, Celebrity MasterChef? Because I endured the last series because my friend Christine Hamilton was in it, and she was very entertaining.
Christine Hamilton's your friend?
She is, yes.
Oh,
no, don't say anything nasty.
Don't
say anything nasty about poor Christine.
No, she's adorable.
That's okay. Now, Lenny has texted to say, could you ask... They're all calling you Mr. Winner. They're very polite,
Quite right.
Could you please ask Mr. Winner to confirm if he was at a restaurant in Marlow recently? I was convinced I saw him there and have a £5 bet with my mate on this.
I tell you, it's extraordinary. We all like to think that we're unique. The number of letters I get from people say, I saw you eating a sandwich on the train. Or I read it in the newspapers. Respectable papers say we saw him do this. I wasn't there at all. Now, the answer is Marlow. I have not been eating in Marlow at all. The nearest I eat to Marlow is at Michael Parkinson's pub, the Royal Oak in Paley Green. If he means Paley Green, which is not Marlow, he could be right. If he means Marlow, I'm sorry. I know he means well, bless him, but he's wrong.
Now, there's a wonderful piece in the book about... you didn't actually dine with her, but you were with the Queen, and you called her darling 4 times. How on earth did you get away with that without having your head chopped off?
Well, she's very nice, the Queen.
She is.
And
I've met her too,
No, what can you do? She came to open my National Police Memorial in the Mall, and we had a reception after. And she was walking around with me the whole time, and I did call her. Well, she either heard it and thought I'd ignore it, or she didn't hear it. I think she did hear it because I don't talk normally that quietly. I said, "Over here, darling," and she took it very well. Bless her. She's a lovely person. I was very impressed with her. She's a real worker. She gets on with her job. She doesn't come up with stupid remarks like Prince Charles. She's really fantastic. And I said to the fellow who dealt with the day, I'd like a signed photo of the Queen, you see. Well, she doesn't do it. Anyway, that's all. She sends me this photo, which was signed Elizabeth R. Now, I wanted a photo, to Michael, the most wonderful man I ever met, yours, Lizzie.
the kind of photo that you would send out to a friend.
I send out lovely photos. I always put people's name on them. I always put best wishes. Anyway, she's terrific.
English food.
Very good.
I think it's very good too, but it has a bit of a problem with its reputation throughout the world.
Well, English food in the 50s was better than it is now.
But a spotted dick and jam roly-poly.
Lovely. Jam roly-poly. I'd love to see... I haven't seen a jam roly-poly for decades.
I went to see my mum the other day, and I said to her, she said, what do you want to eat? And I said, jam roly-poly. And she said, I haven't made that for 20 years. And I said, well, make it now. And she did, and it was wonderful.
I'm sure. No, I think English food... If it's English, the problem is they're all copying the French. They're all trying to be something clever. But when you get good... I had a meal on Sunday at the Ritz Hotel in Piccadilly.
As you do.
It's a fantastic chef. It was a totally English meal. Everything was incredible. You know, instead of Lancashire hot pot or the local dishes, they've got the jus de this and the this. It's all rubbish. It takes you 6 hours to read the menu. It takes you longer to read the menu than eat the dish. They can't do any of it anyway.
So what can we do to improve the PR of English food throughout the world, do you think?
I don't wish to improve the PR of English food. I don't care.
So you don't really care?
Well, as long as I can find somewhere to eat nice food that is simple, good food, like the Wolsey or even the Ivy, which you don't like, but you're very posh, I like it, you know.
If you say so. Now, after the travel, we're going to talk to someone who went to school with you.
Well, that's very good.
In Letchworth. At the same time, but not with you. I'm not quite sure what that means. But anyway, we'll find out after the travel, because it's coming up to 9:45.
But if he was there at the same time, he'd have to go to school with me.
And it's time for Travel with Alan Joyce. You're listening to the LBC Book Club with me, Ian Dale, and Michael Winner, who's here to talk about his book, Unbelievable, My Life in Restaurants and Other Places. And anyone with a love of food will want to get this book for Christmas. It's $16.99 in hardback, published by JR Books. Now, I've just discovered, Michael, that you've entered the Twitter sphere.
I love tweeting. You know, Lady Keynes, Michael Caine's wife, they're my dearest friends, she said, you've got to go on Twitter, Michael. Michael Caine's gone, he's selling books through it. You know, I tweet all the time, adore it. I answer everybody, well, not everybody, nearly everybody. I think I haven't got that many followers. I've only got about 3,500 followers.
I've got 16,000.
You got 16,000?
I have.
How do you get that?
I shall mention you on my Twitter feed, and I will guarantee you that you will have several hundred more followers when I do that. I shall do that when the programme's over.
I've got a brown envelope for you. It's
and
very good, thank you.
Your Twitter address is at Mr. Michael Winner. And I'm just reading through a few tweets that I've had on my own Twitter feed here. It says, David says, someone should give Michael Winner his own talk show. Funny man. Kevin says, Michael Winner on the phone from Sandy Lane. No, he's actually here with me. Tim says, brilliant interview on Now with Michael Winner. And someone wants a photo for Twitter, so we'll do a photo afterwards and we'll twit pick it. So you have a lot of fans on Twitter.
That's very nice to hear.
And you should be able to sell a lot of books as well. Right, let's take a call from Anne, who's in Temple Fortune. Anne, hello.
Hello. Hello,
Anne.
Hello, Michael.
Speak, Anne.
I'm so pleased to speak to you because you went to St Christopher's School, didn't you, in Letchworth?
For 11 years.
And I was... Do you remember St Francis College?
I remember it well.
And
it was very posh, dear. You were the posh end.
Oh, no,
I was the rubbish end.
We always were envious of St Christopher's.
Why? It was the most terrible school ever.
No, you called all the teachers by their first name and you could wear any clothes you liked.
Well, it was supposedly run by the children, which wasn't true, of course. If ever the children in this council passed anything that the staff didn't like, it was vetoed. I passed that we were only allowed to go to the cinema 3 times a term. So I proposed that we go whenever we liked, which was passed by everybody, and it was just vetoed by the headmaster.
Oh. And do you remember the Broadway cinema then?
Oh, very well. The Broadway cinema. Oh, the Palace had a lovely, smelly cinema, it was. Had that wonderful smell that cinemas had in those days. And next to it was this cafe where I had my chips and sausages. And the Broadway is still a very good cinema.
Oh, it's still there?
I think so. I went down, well, about 3 years ago, the Broadway was still there. It was a lovely, lovely sort of 30s type cinema. I went there all the time. I lived there practically.
And do you remember an office block opposite the Broadway, which was called Holloway's House?
No. I didn't deal in offices. I didn't do offices. I
where
did
I
movies.
worked eventually.
Did you? What did you do, dear?
I was in a punch card operator, you know, on computers.
Jolly good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yes. But I've always wanted to speak to you because we had this a relationship with St Christopher's and St Fanny's, as it was called, wasn't it, at the time?
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah.
I can't hardly, I'm getting very old now. I can only just about remember I was there. But I was there.
And thank you ever so much for your call. And let's go to Paul, who's in Stoke-on-Trent. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Ian.
Hi.
How are you?
All right. What's your question?
Not too bad. Yeah, I'd like to ask a question to Michael. Hello, Michael.
Hello, good evening.
Nice to speak to you. Nice to meet you. Always admire the Death Wish films and all that all your work. It's been good, very good. A good film. Charles Bronson, a good actor, brilliant actor as well. Yeah. I'll just ask you a question. What plans do you have got in the future other than films? Any sort of television work or anything coming up? Anything?
Well, I keep turning up on television in funny little things. They keep asking me to do something. But what is very nice next year is the American Cinematheque, which is one notch below the Oscars, is giving a 4-day tribute to me at Grauman's Theatre in Hollywood Boulevard. Yeah. So, that'll be nice. I really... Things always happen to me. I sit back and things happen. I put myself about a bit. I'm here with Ian, bless him.
That's it. See, that's a good idea.
It is a good idea. Ian's not so sure about it, but I'm glad you are.
I totally am. I was delighted when you said yes. Okay, Paul, thanks for your call. Sorry, was there something else you wanted to say? No, he's gone.
Paul's gone.
Apologies for that.
Turned him off.
Now, Michael, I've just been handed an article you've written in the Daily Mail today. Headline, Fed Up with Festive Boozers, Try Drinking with My A-List Pals. What's all that about, then?
Well, I didn't do the headline.
No, I know, but what's the article about?
They occasionally, the Daily Mail ring me and say, would you do something, and I tend to do it. That's really about... Someone who's not a big drinker, me... I was very friendly with some of the biggest boozers in the industry. Oliver Reed, bless him, who was adorable. Richard Harris lived next door to me. Bob Mitchum I did a movie with. And it's just stories of... and the only person... I interrupted myself there, did you notice? The only actor or person I ever met in my life who was not made an idiot by drinking... because they've become very boring drunks. They think they're funny, they're not. The only one whose character improved, and it was a good character going in, was Jack Lemmon. Jack Lemmon, when drunk, became pixie-ish and wired up and alert, and not one bit of angst or anger came out. He was just the most wonderful drunk, bless him.
Simon has texted to ask, what makes a good restaurant, and what does Michael think of Heston Blumenthal's style of cuisine?
Well, what makes a good restaurant is if you enjoy it. If they serve the food you order, it's pleasant food, and nice surroundings are very important. Heston I knew when he was unknown totally, and he didn't do this very fancy food then. He's a very nice human being, I might add. Although I say all chefs should shut up, he really is a decent person. But the last time I went there was some years ago. He had 2 Michelin stars. And I'm sitting there, and a waiter comes over with a teaspoon with something in it. And he says to me, open your mouth. So I open my mouth, and he puts the teaspoon in my mouth. And I went to... I always used to meet Heston. He's got a little backyard outside the restaurant. We always used to go back and have a long chat. I said, Heston, dear, I'm not very bright, but I can put a spoon in my own mouth. I don't actually need to be force-fed like a goose. And I think, I don't believe in molecular cooking. I believe in simple cooking. So I haven't been back. But he is a great talent, there's no question.
Right, let's take a call from David, who's in Bromley. Hello, David.
Hi, Ian. How are you?
Hi, very well. What's your question to Michael?
Well, hi, Michael. I just wanted to ask what your views on the UK Film Council were, and particularly on the subject of whether the best way to save the British film industry was to get rid of the UK Film Council.
The UK Film Council was a load of rubbish. They lost a fortune. They lost millions and millions of pounds on the films they invested in. They lost more millions of pounds in paying themselves fat salaries. And, I've lived through dozens of schemes for British films, including one where they actually, cinemas had to play 30-40% British films, and none of them will save an industry. If you can't make something the public want to buy, forget it. Why should, when there's hospitals we need and there's housing we need? I don't think the film industry is a charity. I'm sorry.
Well, let's talk about... David, thanks for your call. Let's just talk about a charity that you are very well known for being involved in, the Police Memorial Trust, where you've done some absolutely fantastic work. How did you get involved in that in the first place?
Well, when Yvonne Fletcher died, I thought, we should remember the police who died for us, because all the other services that died for us, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, they have memorials. The police were totally not respected in that way. And it's a long story, but somehow or other I formed this charity. We've got 44 memorials up all over the country. We've got the National Police Memorial in the Mall. And the widows and the parents and the children are so pleased that their son or their husband did not go into oblivion. You know, I was at a ceremony. We have these big ceremonies. David Cameron, he's our Prime Minister, isn't David Cameron? You know that, David Cameron, the Prime Minister?
I thought it was still Lady Thatcher.
Not
but,
Lady Thatcher. No, it's not.
It's a pity.
He officiated at my last ceremony with Boris came along for the ride. And at a previous ceremony, the lady came from the platform with me. She was the mother of the slain officer. It was 2 years after he was killed. And we were going to this reception we give. And she said to me, you know, Mr. Winner, they say that time heals. It doesn't. And that sums it up, you know. The loss is so great because they don't expect to be killed, policemen. There's about average of perhaps 2 killed every 3 years. So I'm very pleased to have done that. It was really a strange choice to do it.
Well, I think it's fantastic work, because as you say, I think we should pay more attention to remembering the policemen that die on our behalf.
Well, you know, it's a national pastime to criticise the police. But, you know, when you want them, you say, where are they?
Now, we finish off with a quickfire session. So, one word or one sentence answers here. Your favourite book?
Walter the Farting Dog. #1 in the Charles bestseller. Great, great book. That's my favourite book.
Oh, I don't know where we're going to go with this now. Favourite author?
Favourite author? I don't know who wrote Walter the Farting Dog. I can't remember. My favourite author is me, actually. I think I'm wonderful.
A book you couldn't finish?
Oh, there's hundreds of books I couldn't finish. I'm not good at reading, believe me.
Your favourite food?
My favourite food is the English fry-up. Good old English fry-up.
See, a man after my own heart. Best restaurant ever visited?
Probably Harry's Bar in Venice.
Well, never been to that one. I shall have to go to Venice, and when I do, I shall go there. Well, Michael, thank you so much for joining us on the programme. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Michael's been here to talk about his book, which you must all buy for Christmas. It is an order from Michael Winner himself. It's called Unbelievable, My Life in Restaurants and Other Places, $16.99, or as he says, cheaper on the internet.
And a laugh. It's a laugh.
It really is a laugh. I'll be back tomorrow. Clive Ball's up next. This is LBC 97.